The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.
All right, thank you, Buckle Bomb Faithful, for joining us here on another episode of The Lockup. With me today, we have Sunnidaze, and it is a hot one, so perfect name for a nice hot day indeed. How are you this evening?
I'm very good. Sweaty, but sweet and spoiled. And, of course, sunny days.
Yes. All right. So interesting fact, you are now the second wrestler we've had on our show that is from the state of Alaska.
Really?
Yes. We've had Phoenix Kid on previously. I'm not sure if you know him.
Oh, I know him.
Yep. So he was on our show last year.
Oh, yeah? How was that?
Great. He's a very interesting person.
Very hardcore.
Doing the things that he loves to do.
Yes. Yes, it's very true.
So tell us, what was it like growing up in Alaska?
I actually am a military brat. I was the first baby born in Adak, Alaska, out on the Aleutian Chain. I was fortunate enough to go back a second time. I think I was 9 or 10. And we were there for a good 3 years. It was very... it was like a whole new frontier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty cool, actually. It wasn't bad at all. I learned how to play the trombone.
Oh, interesting. So what is it like? You know, we always see in Alaska, you know, you got the really long days of straight sun and then also the really days with almost no sun.
Right.
What is that like versus, you know, now where you are, where it's a little more consistent?
Well, here in Washington, it is a little more consistent, except for in the summertime, it doesn't get dark until about 9:30, 10 o'clock, as opposed to the summertime in Alaska where it was just days on end. Fun fact, the last time I went to Alaska, I was around a bonfire and I asked what time it was and they said 3. And I'm like, oh, 3 p.m. No big deal. And they said, no, honey, 3 a.m. So my suggestion is if you go to Alaska in the summertime, bring a pair of blinders so that way you can sleep.
Yes, definitely some blackout curtains too.
Right. Most of the hotels have them.
So did you ever get to see the Northern Lights up in Alaska?
Only when we were stationed in the Adak. We were so far up in the Aleutian Chain because it's like the very last outpost for the naval base that was out there. My mother was a CB and my father, I can't even remember what he was doing. I'm just a military brat.
All right, noted. So how did you first get into wrestling? When did you first discover it? What was it like to you?
I have always loved wrestling. I used to get in trouble for staying up late and watching ECW when it would come on Tuesday nights at 1:32 in the morning or something like that. It was terrible. Terrible time, but I always made sure to watch. It was, I think it was might have been a Monday night. Anyways, I fast forward, I met this great guy and he did wrestling announcing, and then things just happened and we got married and I fell in love with wrestling a whole new way.
Yes. So who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up? I know you mentioned ECW. Any favorites from there?
Sabu, Sandman, Beulah. I don't think Beulah was ever. Yeah, she was. She did that hardcore match. There were, Dean Malenko, Al Snow, the Blue Meanie. The list goes on and on and on. It just seems like back in the day when we had ECW, that was a great jump off point for a lot of the talent that you saw create what we have now as wrestling. I've always been a big fan of watching the evolve of wrestling, so to speak. You know, we went from having Gorgeous George to Ric Flair to Eddie Guerrero to Rey Mysterio to some of the great wrestlers we have today, like Triple H and Bray Wyatt and a bunch of other great guys. It's very intriguing for me to just watch the matches. Not so much the drama, but the matches are always a great entertainment point.
Yes. So what kind of match do you prefer to watch? Do you prefer a more technical match, or do you prefer more like a high-flying spots kind of match?
Okay, so that depends. Do I have popcorn to throw? Am I with a bunch of friends and we're going to ridicule them and their moves and how they do it? Or am I just having a good time out with a bunch of friends and it's playing in the background at a bar? You see, there's always a different way to respond to each one of those.
That's true. But if you're by yourself watching, just trying to have a good time, what kind of match do you prefer?
Old school strong style.
Excellent choice. All right. So at what point did you decide, I love watching wrestling. I'm going to go get some training and try to give it a shot, see if I like it. When did that come about?
I was actually approached by a promoter who told me I had a great voice and I would do well with in-ring announcing, but I would have to learn how to keep myself safe. So I would have to come to training during their training school sessions and learn how to keep myself safe with bumping and getting out of the ring, getting back into the ring. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I kept doing it. And then about 3 months later, I was given a choice to either stop and just be an in-ring announcer, or I could continue and keep going and become a wrestler. And I just fell in love with the moves. I fell in love with the art of having a match. And, I even watched that college wrestling stuff. I love it. It's just something in my blood. Guess I got the bug and I've never gotten rid of it. I've tried, but still.
You didn't know it was there, then all of a sudden you discovered it and I got to keep going.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens when you figure out something that you really are passionate for. You want to put everything into it. And the hardest part for me was to find the no fear. You know what I mean? You're like, You've got to go. That fear, that fury that you have, the fierceness of continuing after over and over and over again of just failing or freaking out and not finishing. I've always tried to endeavor to get up and try again and do it again and go again and try again. And if I'm not learning, I'm going to go somewhere else. And if I'm not learning there, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go over here. And that's just led me to a great 17 years in professional wrestling on the indie circuit.
And, talking to a lot of people, a career that long, approaching 20 years, that's impressive to be able to do it that long.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I continuously train. I continuously go to the gym, and I continuously say my prayers and take my vitamins and and do what I got to do to keep myself woo for the people and you too.
Absolutely. So, to keep going on the positive vibes here, I see you post a lot of, positive quotes, positive energy stuff. Do you have a favorite, quote to that you would relate to others, or tell yourself over and over again just to kind of
do
that positive vibe?
Mm-hmm. I do. Hold on, I actually had it pulled up here just a second ago.
Sure.
I'm glad you asked me that question. Bruce Lee said some amazing inspirational things. The one that really speaks out to me the most, and I really try and live my everyday life by, is the quote that he says, "Don't speak negatively about yourself. Even as a joke, your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. What you're not changing, you're choosing. And it just struck a chord with me because, a lot of the times we spend a lot of time saying, oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no, I don't want to. Oh, no, I don't want to cause any waves. The reality is, if you lose your boldness, you won't be able to get it back. So words do have power, and speak well of yourself.
That is really good. That's a great quote.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my quote. It's Bruce Lee's.
Right. All right. So you're going through training. It comes time for your first match.
Yep.
What are you thinking going in? How did you feel during the match? And what was
I
it
hope
like?
I don't pee myself. That was my first thought. Oh my gosh. I hope I don't have an issue and have to go to the bathroom. I don't know how many wrestlers worry about that, but it's just a fear, I guess, mine. One of my first matches was in, golly, I think it was at a fire hall in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, and it was about 105 degrees, and I had just made my first wrestling outfit, and I sewed everything by hand to make this outfit. And I was so worried it was going to come apart while I was wearing it. But luckily for me, I had a fantastic training partner who took care of me and taught me how to take care of my opponent when I'm in the ring. That was a great match. There was a whole 35 people there, I think. And if there's anything that I've learned, it's that I'm very thankful I was able to go to a school and be taught a lot of the stuff that I know now and I use on a weekly basis.
Great. So tell us kind of, you're going through training. Do you feel it was tougher, being a woman, I guess, kind of going into what in some areas is a mostly male dominant kind of society or male dominated world? Did it feel any different to you?
Yes. And here's why. So I often joke about this, but on a real note, I really do think that I may have been the last generation that in school I was told I was not allowed to do football and I was not allowed to do wrestling because I was a girl. So when I got older and I wanted to start doing training more and I wanted to branch out more, I had moved from Arkansas to Washington. And the difference in my trainers were, my first one had stated, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a guy or whatever you identify as. What matters is that you know what you're doing in the ring, as opposed to the other trainer here who would only teach me certain things because I was a girl and had told me that there was no way I was going to be able to do certain things because I was a girl. Later on, I find out after continuously going and training and doing seminars that what he stated was wrong. A lot of the times, there are over 200 different wrestling moves in collegiate wrestling, and you expect them to be different because I'm a girl. Well, I'm here to say that I've kind of been leading a bit of a crusade in my own about women in wrestling. I am a fierce and bold, strong woman, and I identify as a heterosexual woman with bisexual gender. But that doesn't make it any different than me wrestling a guy or a girl. I really try and keep it the same. And I do find myself from time to time in that situation where I have to remind my opponent that just because I am a girl and I come with natural pillows, it doesn't mean that I can't whoop your ass or take a whooping myself. I put myself in that ring, and with the great trainers that I've had in my past, they've all stated the same thing. that you treat your opponent the way you want to be treated in that ring, just like in life, you know, you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel there should be more intergender wrestling? We see it a lot on the independent circuit, not so much, you know, in the bigger promotions, except maybe say for Jordan Grace and Impact.
Yeah,
Do you
but
feel
look
there
at
should
her
be more?
style.
Yeah.
Look at her build. Look at her style. Because you can also say the same thing about Awesome Kong. You can say the same thing about China back in the day. I mean, come on, she was leading the way. Miss Degeneration X herself was known not just as the ninth wonder of the world, but the ninth, 10th, and 11th wonder of the world. JR said so. And I honestly believe that intergender wrestling, it takes precedent in the indie circuit because a lot of us don't have other female wrestlers in the area that can honestly say they'll get in the ring. You know, a lot of the times I have to travel and I'll go travel and wrestle somebody on the other country, quite simply because I want to wrestle a female. But I have a home promotion that has a fantastic roster, and you know, they treat me like one of the boys. They call me brother and dude, and dumb dirty jokes are the same. So, you
Right.
know, we're just all humans playing on a stage. It's all a stage, remember?
That's right.
Right.
Speaking of life as a stage, you've got a little bit of an acting career going on. Is that correct?
I do. I'm actually working with Phoenix Rising Productions out of Woodby Island in Washington. This last year, we produced three different movies, and the year prior, we produced one more. I think it's called I Kill Demons. That's the one that came out the year before last. And then last year, I play a comic in the comic strip. I play an assassin in the Roman papers. And I can't remember what the third one was called. Oh, the Patriot Act. That's what it's called. And I play a girlfriend. It's been a lot of fun, actually.
So is there any future upcoming projects as far as acting?
Yeah, there is. I know of a suspense thriller that's coming out involving a princess and maybe a devil. There's also it's a horror movie that may involve a chainsaw and lots of bloody guts and goo goo eyes. And yours truly.
Nice. What do you prefer, filming and acting? And do you prefer like the horror suspense, or do you like the more comedy drama?
You know what? I've had fun with the comedy. I've had fun with the drama, and I haven't done a horror movie yet. So I'm actually looking forward to it because I am I'm a horror fan myself.
Nice.
I have been most of my life. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
What is your favorite horror movie?
I was a really big fan of the Saw series early on, 1 through 5. Didn't really see anything beyond that.
Agreed.
The only horror movie to really scare me was Candyman, the original one.
Yes. Did you see the remake? I was pleasantly surprised with the entendres of the original that they used for the second. That was a good movie.
I saw bits and pieces of it. Haven't seen the whole thing back to front yet. But I think I know when I saw the original, I was only 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh. But then after
that one scared me too.
After that, I'm like, okay, just remember, it's all fake. And I've been able to watch everything after that. So.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your other loves. You have a really big love for animals. Is that correct?
I do, especially funny pictures of animals. The point is, it's an animal, and they're just as silly as we are as humans. So I've always believed that, you know, the animals, they do talk to us. Trust me, I know. I own 3 huskies, and they don't really bark. They talk. I've never had a dog that talks as much as mine do. especially at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And they let you know when they're not too happy with you either.
Oh yes, they do. They howl and they bark, and not really bark, but they do their husky talk, and I just I just giggle at them and say no hot dog for you, and say okay, it's time to go. We're gonna go do our walk now.
And yes, I know.
Yeah, just like that. I know. I don't know what to. No, knock it off. Be good. Of course, they like to argue.
Oh, of course, all dogs do.
Right.
So tell us, what do you have planned in store for the future? Any future goals as far as wrestling, acting, anything?
Like I said, I'd love to do a horror movie. And I'd like to do a family comedy movie. I think that might be fun because I haven't done one yet. Wrestling, of course, is in my future. I am open and available for bookings. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, you can do so through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I am also on TikTok as well. But I can go over that in just a little while.
Sure.
But for the future, I do have an appearance in Eureka, California, with Rumble in the Redwoods 8. I will be wrestling against Andrea the Giant. So if you've ever wanted to see a real life David and Goliath story, why don't you just watch Sunny versus Andrea instead? Because there's nothing more that I like than to chop it down. Just keep chopping. I have also worked with my favoriteest company, my favoriteest women's company so far, Liberty Pro Women's Wrestling. It's out of Memphis, Tennessee. It is custom wrestling. You can check us girls out and put us against one another, and we'll fight. We'll videotape it. Like I said, libertyprowomenswrestling.com. Check me out. Sunnidaze, Cassandra Gold. I still need to kick her assets. I'm telling you.
And of course, we'll throw all the links
in her future.
Yep, we will throw all the links down in our video description as well, so they can check you out there.
Cool.
So as we wrap things up here, there's a little game we like to play on the show called the Electric Chair. So it's 6 kind of rapid fire questions.
All right.
Some are wrestling related, some are not. You'll just answer the first thing that comes to mind.
Got it.
All right. Question 1. What is the most painful submission move?
Most painful submission move. I would have to the abdominal stretch, because it's your arm up here on one side, and there's nothing more. Well, I don't know. I guess it could be thought of as a chiropractic move, but I've always thought of the abdominal stretch as the hardest.
Okay.
It hurts the most.
Oh, of course.
So
question 2, your favorite vacation spot?
Ooh, Mauritius. There's an underwater waterfall. It's on the bottom of Africa.
Okay. I'm sure that was a nice trip.
Especially in a sailboat.
Question 3, would you rather binge a TV show or read a book in your spare time?
Say that question one more time.
Would you rather binge a TV show or read a book on a free day?
I'm an avid reader, but I really like TV lately.
What's your favorite TV show lately?
Marvel. Actually, I've been binge watching Boston Legal. William Shatner has my heart from get-go, and he plays a character called Denny Crane. And he is a lawyer. It's quite funny. Betty White's in it. It was the last television series that she was in before she passed.
Oh, poor Betty.
That's okay. She had a great life.
She did. Number 4, the best flavor of Oreos.
Best flavor of Oreos? Double stuffed mint.
The mint ones were delicious.
Yes, they were. With a big old glass of milk.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Who is one person you would have loved to wrestle who is no longer wrestling anymore?
Oh, do they have to be alive?
Dead or alive? Your choice.
Dead or alive? Honestly, Judy Grable. I was fortunate to meet her nephew, and he had gifted me a picture of Judy Grable. What he did not know was that I was a Grable fan. That whole era, 1950 to 1954, I think, is when she wrestled.
All right. And the last question, what has been the best gimmick in wrestling?
Best gimmick in wrestling? Hitting people with my stop sign.
Great.
I really like that one. That's fun. Yeah, that one's fun. Although hitting people with a cutting board was pretty good too. But the soup pots are the best if you use a spoon on the outside, yeah. On the head. Yeah, that's great. No, the stop sign. The stop sign is the best. They don't tend to get up after that.
No. Mm-mm. Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about how did you come up with your wrestling gimmick?
You ever seen the movie Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Of course, classic.
Classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember Columbia?
Of course.
Yeah. It's a cross between Columbia, Cruella de Vil, and me.
It's very, I can see it now because if you look at the pictures, of you and your gear, it's got the very glitzy, very glam.
Sparkle, sparkle.
That's right.
That's right. And she was always sparkle, sparkle.
She was. All right. So that'll do it for us here. We will throw all the links down in the comments. But again, I'll let you relay it. Where can people check you out?
You can check me out on Facebook at .com/BoomPal Sunnidaze 13. That's on my Facebook. You can also check me out at Instagram, Stormy_Nights 13. That's right. Sunny days, stormy nights. You never know what's going to happen next. You can also check me out on TikTok, which is Sunnidaze #5. And my Twitter is Sunnidaze 13.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure. Everybody else, have a great rest of your evening. Hey,
you too. Boom, pal, hugs and headlocks, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Toodaloo, kangaroo.